making headlines. The Maldivian government announces that it will submit the necessary documents to intervene with the case submitted to the ICJ against Israel. USAID announces an aid of $4.4 million to the Maldives to enhance media literacy and to support democratic openings. And the ambassador of the Maldives to UAE highlights that the Maldives is a nation that respects other countries, and diplomatic relations with the Maldives will continue as long as no country crosses certain boundaries.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Mariam Shaushat. The government of the Maldives announces that the Maldives will submit the necessary documents to intervene with the case submitted by South Africa to the International Court of Justice (ICJ) against Israel. The Maldives decided to intervene in the case following the recommendation of the cabinet. Speaking at a special segment aired on PSM News, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Secretary for Multilateral Affairs Ahmad Shian emphasized the government's efforts to intervene in the case submitted by South Africa against Israel. Secretary Shian indicated that the Maldives will thoroughly examine the case to identify areas where Israel can be held accountable and will present its findings to the ICJ in The Hague, Netherlands. The Maldives representative in this matter will be Attorney General Ahmad Usham. Highlighting the Maldives' efforts to fight for the right of Palestinians, Shian stated that President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu also called for the establishment of Palestine as an independent state in his address at the 79th United Nations General Assembly, UNGA. Ministry of Foreign Affairs has stated that the Maldives has demonstrated its support for Palestine at ministerial levels and in foreign affairs. It has reaffirmed the Maldives' commitment to standing in solidarity with Palestine, a position that will remain unchanged. U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, has announced an aid of $4.4 million to the Maldives to enhance media literacy and to support democratic openings. The announcement was made during the USAID's Democracy Delivers event on the sidelines of the 79th UN General Assembly, UNGA. The Democracy Delivers initiative was launched in 2022 by Secretary Anthony Blinken and USAID Administrator Samantha Powell. The event aims to build a multi-stakeholder coalition of partners and provide assistance to countries undergoing a democratic renewal. The funds will be primarily allocated for media literacy and empowerment. As such, $3 million will be allocated to enhance media literacy and promote information resilience. This will be done through ensuring transparency in public and media sectors, while equipping the public, especially the youth, with the essential tools required to be better informed and discerning consumers of media and social media content. Meanwhile, the remaining $1.4 million will be allocated to increase awareness for democratic rights and civic engagement, ensuring collaboration with local councils and women's development committees (WDTs), and advocating for transparent and accountable democratic processes. Ambassador of the Maldives to the United Arab Emirates UAE, Mohammed Hussein Sharif, highlights that the Maldives is a nation that respects other countries and diplomatic relations with the Maldives will continue as long as no country crosses certain boundaries. He made the remarks during a special coverage conducted on public service media, PSM.
Speaking to PSM News, Ambassador Sharif noted that the Maldives is not a newcomer to the United Nations, UN. He said that the Maldives boasted a proud history and independence that cannot be questioned. He also highlighted that the Maldives is widely recognized on the international stage. Additionally, Ambassador Sharif stressed that President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu prioritizes the interests of the Maldives and its citizens in his foreign policy. He praised the president's transparent approach to maintaining the nation's independence and reiterated the relationships with other countries will endure as long as mutual respect is upheld. Furthermore, Ambassador Sharif pointed out that the Maldives remains steadfast in its principles and policies. He highlighted the country's journey from being one of the least developed nations to becoming a leading middle-income nation, while also remaining one of only 200% Muslim countries globally. He also underscored the country's strong commitment to international principles and its advocacy for important global values. Moreover, Ambassador Sharif praised President Dr. Muizzu's appeal for the United Nations to remain a bastion of peace. He also noted the importance of equality within the United Nations, especially for smaller island nations like the Maldives, regardless of population size.
The government announces that the first term of the academic year has concluded with over 96,000 students completing the term, and the holiday break has now begun.
All students who completed the first term have received their report cards. The term officially ended and the midterm break will last for 10 days. The second term is scheduled to begin on October 6th and will run until March 6, 2025, when students will start their long holiday. Next year's extended break will coincide with Ramadan. This academic year, 162 government schools are offering single-session classes, while 55 schools are running 2 sessions. In addition, 6 schools are implementing satellite-based learning. Over 96,000 students are enrolled, including 40,300 girls and 42,700 boys, with around 26,000 attending schools in the capital, Male City. The government aims to return the academic calendar to January start, as it was before the COVID-19 pandemic caused the shift to mid-year. The Ministry of Education has noted that many parents and students prefer the January start and has developed a plan to transition the academic year back to January in 2026.
Maldives and Indonesia hold extensive discussions aiming to strengthen trade and economic ties. The discussions were held between the Ambassador of Indonesia to the Maldives, Dewi Gastina Tobing, and the Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Mohammed Said. Speaking to PSMNEWS, Minister Said revealed that the discussions focused on expanding trade and economic activities between the two nations. The minister stated that this initiative aims to boost trade and investment between the two nations, highlighting that Indonesia is one of the countries which is frequently visited by Maldivian businessmen and also significantly contributes to Maldivian imports. He disclosed that the trade between the two countries are worth $62 million. Furthermore, Minister Said reiterated President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu's policy of enhancing bilateral ties with various countries in terms of trade. He also emphasized the government's efforts to increasing Maldivian exports to the global markets conveniently. Ministry of Tourism reveals that over 100,000 tourists have visited the Maldives so far this month.
Statistics released by the Tourism Ministry indicated that over 1.4 million tourists visited the Maldives from January 1st to September 24th. This is a remarkable increase of 9.9% compared to the 1.3 million tourist arrivals within the same period last year. According to the report, a total of 104,275 tourists visited the Maldives between September 1st to 24th. This is an increase of 3% compared to the 101,233 tourists who visited the Maldives during the same period last year. The statistics by the ministry highlights the Chinese tourists comprise the largest group of arrivals in 2024 with 214,102 visitors. Following China, the leading source markets include Russia with 159,129 visitors, 124,662 arrivals from the United Kingdom, 105,839 from Italy, and 104,196 from Germany. The data shows that 1,228 facilities have been opened, providing services to tourists with a total bed capacity of 62,908. On average, over 5,000 tourists arrive to the Maldives daily, with the majority staying for a 7.7-day period. This steady influx has encouraged the government to set an ambitious target of attracting 2 million tourists by the end of the year.
Minister of Agriculture and Animal Welfare Dr. Aishat Ramila announces the government's objective to expand veterinary clinic services across the nation.
In response to the rise in population of stray cats and to ensure their safety, the government is implementing several initiatives. These include the establishment of a veterinary clinic and a cat shelter to address the health needs of stray cats. Additionally, a bill which mandates the registration of pets and the creation of legislations related to the animal-related matters has been proposed as well. The Animal Welfare Ministry stated that upon the completion of the cat shelter in Male City, efforts will be made to establish additional shelters throughout the atolls. Providing information on this initiative, Minister Dr. Ramila acknowledged the difficulties faced by island residents in accessing veterinary services in Male City whenever their pets require medical attention. The minister also mentioned the challenges faced by vets in traveling to the islands to ensure the health and well-being of animals. Therefore, she stated that the government plans to establish veterinary clinics in atolls to address this issue. She added that the current priority of the government is to complete the development of the veterinary clinic in Male City and to send veterinary teams to the atolls on a regular basis. Furthermore, Minister Dr. Ramila reported that certain islands have expressed interest in relocating cats to shelters, adding that there have been requests for cat neutering services. Therefore, she announced that efforts to provide mobile neutering services will commence this month.
We'll now be taking a short break to bring you Isha prayers. The remaining news will be brought after Isha prayers. Stay tuned.
PSM ಗೆ ಟಿವಿ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತಕ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತ ಮಿಹಾರು PSM Air application ತಿಯ ಬೇಫ್ರುನ್ನ ಹಿಲೆ ಬಲಾಲೆವೆನೆ ಅದಿ ಅಡುವ ಹಾಲೆವೆನೆ ದುನಿಯೆಗೆ ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ತಾಗುಹುರೆಗೆ ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಗಡಿಯಕು PSM ಗೆ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತ ಬಲಾಲುಮ ಅವಹ PSM Air app ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಕುರವ್ವ ಮಿಹಾರು app store ಉನ್ನ Google Play Store ಇಂವೆಸ್ ಮಿ app ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಕೊಲ್ಲೆವೆನೆ
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وبعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Welcome once again to PSM News in English. Pakistan says it would have to go through transitional pain after the International Monetary Fund IMF agreed to a new relief package of $7 billion to bolster its faltering economy.
Although the South Asian nation's economy has stabilized since it came close to defaulting last summer, it is dependent on IMF bailouts and loans from friendly countries to service its huge debt, which swallows up half of its annual revenues. Minister of Finance Mohammad Aurangzeb told local broadcaster Geo News that there will be transitional pain, but if they are to make it the last program, they have to carry out structural reforms. The IMF said in an earlier statement that the 3-year loan program will require sound policies and reforms to support Pakistan's ongoing efforts to strengthen its economy and create conditions for stronger, more inclusive and resilient growth. Pakistan in July agreed to the deal, its 24th IMF payout since 1958, in exchange for unpopular reforms, including cutting back on power subsidies and widening its chronically low tax base. Speaking on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA in New York on Wednesday, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said that the deal came through thanks to the tremendous effort of Saudi Arabia, China and the UAE. Last month, Aurangzeb had said Pakistan was negotiating a $12 billion loan, reprofiling from bilateral lenders. The amount comprised $5 billion from Saudi Arabia, $4 billion from China, and $3 billion from the UAE for a 3 to 5 year period. Reacting to the news, Pakistan's stock exchange opened on a positive note, reaching a new record high of 82,905. According to the IMF, at the end of 2023, Pakistan, long locked in a cycle of political and economic crises, had amassed a total debt of more than $250 billion or 75% of gross domestic product, GDP.
Rohingya refugee Shonjida endures years of boredom, misery and violence in Bangladesh, but last month's overthrow of autocratic ex-premier Sheikh Hasina has given her fresh hope for the future. Around 1 million members of the stateless and persecuted Muslim minority live in a sprawling patchwork of Bangladeshi relief camps after fleeing violence in their homeland next door in Myanmar.
Ex-Premier Sheikh Hasina was lauded by the international community in 2017 for opening the borders to around 750,000 Rohingya who fled a Myanmar military crackdown that is now the subject of a UN genocide investigation. But the years since have seen rampant malnutrition and regular gun battles in the camps, whose inhabitants hope that Hasina's ouster will bring renewed attention to their plight. 42-year-old Shonjida, who goes by one name, told AFP that she and her children live in fear at night because of the shootings. Shonjida teaches at one of a few informal learning centers established for school-aged children in her camp, giving her an unsettling insight into the manifold problems facing her community. The centers are able to cater to only a fraction of the camp's families, whose status as refugees shuts them out of Bangladeshi schools, universities, and the local job market. Many of her students are undernourished because decline in international aid has forced successive ration cuts. And they are terrified by the sound of rival militant groups battling for control of the camps, with more than 60 refugees killed in clashes so far this year, according to local media reports. Hasina was toppled last month in a student-led uprising that forced her to flee into exile into neighboring India, moments before thousands of people stormed her palace in the capital Dhaka.
Despite being covered by ice and largely desolate, football is still king in Greenland, whose players want to compete with other nations, but it remains a pipe dream until they join a continental federation.
Until now, footballers in the Danish Autonomous Territory have mostly played among themselves, and the national team, made up of amateurs, has relied on the goodwill of opponents to organize matches. The territory's Football Association, KAK, announced on May 28 that it had applied to join the Confederation of North, Central American and Caribbean Association Football since it was unable to join the European Football Association, UEFA. UEFA statutes stipulate the membership can only be granted to federations based in a country which is recognized as an independent state by the majority of the members of the United Nations. The Greenland court stated that this is the only place on earth right now who is not a member of any football association. Nevertheless, football, and in particular the English Premier League, is very popular for some 57,000 inhabitants of the world's largest island, which covers an area of 2 million square kilometers. In the streets of Greenland towns and cities, many children play football in the summer, and as soon as the weather permits, the pitches fill up, with one of the most eye-catching being the one in the northern village of Umanak, which lies in the shadow of nearby icebergs.
Meta launches AI chatbots voiced by Hollywood celebrities including Judi Dench and John Cena, betting its billions of users are eager to embrace artificial intelligence.
At the company's annual product launch event, CEO Mark Zuckerberg also unveiled a prototype of normal-looking augmented reality glasses, which he hopes can one day replace smartphones. Social media giant Meta is banking on AI in virtual and augmented reality applications to diversify its revenue streams. However, the company has yet to convince investors of the need to shift from its highly profitable advertising-based model. Zuckerberg said that he thinks voice has the potential to be one of, if not the most frequent way that people interact with AI. He said that it is just a lot better. This launch follows OpenAI's controversial ChatGPT voice feature, which drew criticism for its similarity to actress Scarlett Johansson's voice. Meta has secured permission from the celebrities featured in its voice tool, which will be available on Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. However, due to EU data protection laws, Meta AI will not be accessible in Europe. Meta's AI relies on data from its platform's legions of users, a practice that in Europe would potentially violate data privacy laws. Meta AI, similar to ChatGPT or Google's Gemini, is an assistant that answers questions, creates images, writes messages, and even provides companionship. The company reports that more than 400 million people already use Meta AI monthly, aiming to make it the most widely used AI assistant by year end. Competition in the AI field is fierce, with Google and Microsoft leading in productivity features and Apple enter in the market with AI-capable iPhones. Meta hopes to change perceptions with its new AR glasses called Orion. These glasses resemble thick-rimmed reading glasses but can display holographic text messages and apps and places video calls in the user's field of vision.
That's all we have for you right now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more news updates. Have a good day. Goodbye.
زمان تک وندن حل نوي يدرج مسألة تابد إرادة كبيرة حل ودندان حل كده
أرجون من جميع راجعة ترقية جينا مشروطة كوريان بعدين عمراني ترقية دائرة عند راجعة إيكي كانكورتا وغكوريا تا مشروطة كإم فاهوك تفسيرتا
رنوي ميونني ما كانوا كتيم بيك بحالة
مي مشروطة كوريا